Hey, youth volunteers, what's going on? You guys are probably sick of me sending you so much stuff today, so I'm sorry about that. But a lot of this stuff is really important, and a lot of it just is kind of springboarding from what we talked about Sunday night during our kickoff. And this video is specifically for those of you who weren't able to make it to our kickoff event for our volunteers. So this is going to be a bit of information about our vision and what the youth ministry is going to look like for this year, and what our goals are, and all of that. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, we want students to grow, right? And we want our ministry to grow. But first, in order to grow, we have to grow deep before we grow wide. I want to make sure that the community and the atmosphere of our youth ministry is healthy, and strong. And healthy is kind of the key word in all of this. We want to whatever is healthy grows. You can't grow unless you're healthy, right? It makes sense. So we're committed to creating healthy ministry first, because we believe that a healthy ministry will create the conditions for students and our ministry to grow. So to do that, we're pursuing health in 6 key areas. So we have discipleship, teaching, weekly programming, events, parents, and volunteers. Those are the areas that I want to focus on to help our ministry grow. As far as discipleship goes, first of all, it's a process. It's not a program. And that's something I want to emphasize here. When I think about discipleship, I think about Jesus breaking bread with his disciples and talking about life together and ministering to them, and just having conversations. And I also think about Jesus going with his disciples to minister to other people, and to grow their community and grow, right? So you don't disciple teenagers with sermons. You don't disciple them with classes or workbooks either. Discipleship isn't a program. It's a process. It's organic, personal, unpredictable, and a little messy sometimes, but that doesn't mean we can't put a strategy around it. So we want to focus on 4 spiritual habits throughout the year to help disciple students. And this is sort of our discipleship strategy. We want to focus on spending time with God, spending time with others, using your gifts, and sharing your story. Your testimony. Those are the 4 spiritual habits we want to focus on to help students grow this year. So during the fall, we're going to focus on spending time with others so that we can help students find a safe community at the beginning of the year. They'll need that community to keep them engaged and growing throughout the rest of the year. That's what we're focused on in the fall. That's why we're doing right now, our series is called Squad Up. On Wednesday nights, we're starting that. And when I talk about discipleship, we think about our classes, we think about our small groups, right? We think about Sunday morning, Sunday school, and that kind of thing. And something I want to emphasize that I wasn't able to bring up Sunday evening is that during our small groups, even our Sunday morning Sunday schools, they should all be centered around discussion and relationship building. The tools that I'm giving you guys to help teach students are only tools. Teaching is a very small part of discipleship, and we want to treat it like it's a small part of discipleship. And we want to implement that and help students grow in their knowledge of the Lord. I mean, that's how God transforms us. He transforms us by renewing our minds. So we need to be teaching students. But we need to be doing that through discussion and through building relationships with students. All right, so in the fall, we're focusing on spending time with others. In the winter, we're focusing on using your gifts to serve others. The holidays are a great time to focus on this so that students are challenged to think about others' needs instead of themselves, right? Especially once we get closer to Christmas, we think about all the presents. Yeah, you get it. All right, during the spring, after we've spent half the year building relationships and trust with students, we want to challenge them to grow deeper in their relationship with God by challenging them to focus on personal spiritual disciplines. So that's what we're going to focus on during the spring. And in the summer, during the time of mission trips and youth camps and stuff, spending time with friends and getting ready for a new school year, we'll focus on helping students learn to verbalize their stories and faith and challenge them to share those stories with others. So going back to teaching, it's bigger than just sermons, right? Each week, our teaching time is designed to answer 3 questions: what, so what, and now what? Sometimes when we hear teaching, we think of sermons, but that's only a part of it. Like lecture and sermon, that's just like a piece of it, but that can't be the primary way we teach students. Only a very small percentage of teenagers learn best by listening to a sermon. Super small percentage. Most of them learn better in discussion. So that's why we want to incorporate questions in our discussions. That's why Wednesday nights, the resource that I'm giving all of our small group leaders is just a list of questions and a couple of Bible verses to help engage in discussion with your with the students. And I want to encourage you guys in your small groups to share personal stories as well. They're really effective in grabbing students' attention and relating to them as well. And use object lessons as well if you can. And if you know of an activity you can do together to help bring students in, do that as well. And we're going to have moments of reflection kind of woven into our Wednesday night programming as well, so that students can take time to kind of digest what they're hearing. And we want to allow students time to respond as well. So those are all the kind of aspects of teaching that I want us to implement as we enter into our small groups on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. And like I said, the method that we use to teach students, this one might be the most important, is discussion. I'll probably say discussion 100 times when I'm talking about this. It gives students an opportunity to have conversations with their peers and with us about what they're learning. Something I talked about Sunday evening is that students retain 90% of what they teach. And so if they're able to verbalize what they're learning in discussion and personalize what they're learning, then they will retain it and it will stick with them longer. So if you're a small group or discussion leader, your job is super important, and it's hard. Without you, students aren't going to learn much. They're just going to be listening to a lecture. But with your help, they're being challenged to actually apply what they're learning. So you guys are super important. All right, moving on to our weekly programming. First of all, it's not just for insiders. So what we do on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights, it's not just for insiders. And what we do for our events, they're not just for insiders. This is something I really want to kind of get across to all of you guys, and hopefully you can help me with this. We want to make sure that every single student feels welcome and comfortable when they walk into our doors. And there's this weird thing that happens with our brains when we learn something new. After we learn something, it becomes hard to remember what it was like to not know it. We might even start to assume that because we know something, everyone else probably knows it too. But what does that have to do with our ministry? Well, a lot. If you've been following Jesus for a long time, it's going to be difficult for you to remember and vividly remember what it was like to not be a Christian. And maybe some of you don't remember that at all. Like, I was a pastor's kid. I grew up in the church, I don't remember a time when I didn't believe in Jesus. Or if you've been reading the Bible for a long time, you're going to forget that not everyone knows what Ecclesiastes is or what those numbers mean in John 3:16. Not everyone knows those things. And if you've been going to church for a while, it's not going to be easy to see our church through the eyes of someone who doesn't usually go to church, since we know things like all the words to reckless love, or the difference between the Old and New Testament, or the definition of Pharisee, or redemption, or Ephesians. It can be really hard to remember what it was like to not know some of those things. And it doesn't really happen intentionally, but the natural drift of any culture is to cater to its insiders at the expense of its outsiders. So here at church, that means we sometimes make the mistake of planning for church insiders instead of being strategically welcoming to outsiders. And so I'm sorry I read a lot of that, but I think there's a lot of good truth in that, and I wanted to make sure I said it as clearly as possible. We want to be ministering to outsiders. So a few ways we do that is have fun. And this is strategic. We don't play games or do silly things without a reason. We make our ministry fun because fun breaks down walls and allows connections to happen. When a new student comes to our church, they're going to feel uncomfortable, but a little fun can go a long way in helping them feel welcome. The second thing, ask questions, right? Don't be afraid to ask about how we've always done things. We need to evaluate what we do by asking a question. If I had never been to church before, how would this feel, right? I want to make sure that when students come in to our church, they feel comfortable and they feel welcomed. So if you notice students just feeling awkward when they come into our doors, like maybe question like why that is, and help us come up with some solutions to minister to them and to help them feel welcome. The third thing, explain. Even if you're pretty sure that everyone knows what a Pharisee is, briefly explain it anyway. It will put at ease anyone who's afraid to admit they weren't sure. So that's in small groups or whenever you're having a discussion with students. Like, not everybody, actually very few people know what the word sanctification means. So make sure we're explaining these things to students. And the last thing, acknowledge. Simply acknowledging that there are people in the room who are unfamiliar with church or don't yet believe makes a big difference. And it's huge. Our words speak volumes to students about who is welcome, right? So let's work hard to view everything we do through the lens of a first-time visitor. If we don't, we run the risk of catering to our insiders instead at the expense, really, of our outsiders. So anyway, that's a big thing in our ministry, and I think it's going to help our ministry grow if we're able to do that one thing effectively, or those few things, I guess, if you break it down effectively, by making sure that everything that we're doing and everything that we're saying is welcoming to the outsiders, because that's how the church grows. It turns outsiders into insiders. So we need to be hyper aware of them. And it's like Jesus. Like, he has this flock of 99, and when one runs away, he knows that one, and he chases it and chases him down. He doesn't just let people fall off, and get eaten by wolves. And we don't want that to happen either. We want the students that come into our ministry to feel welcome and safe and known. All right, events, doing less for more. So we're going to do a few events throughout the year, but not a whole bunch. For instance, these first 3 months, we're only doing one event, and it's called the NerdCon, and it's going to be a half-nighter, and it's on September 18th. So if you want to go ahead and block off your calendars, you can. Encourage you to do that to help us out with that. And there are a lot of things we could do and we can put on our youth ministry calendar: camps, concerts, retreats, trips, conferences, tournaments, game nights, movie nights, theme nights. The list goes on. And if we did every event that we ever thought about doing, we'd run into a few problems. We'd be adding to the chaos of family calendars that are already full. We'd be burning out our team. We'd be giving teenagers so many options that we probably would only see them attend just a few of them each year, resulting in lower participation in pretty much everything we do. And we'd be spending time, money, and resources on things that aren't always strategic. We'd just be doing we'd just be like, that sounds like a good idea, let's do it, So many potential options. We have to have a strategy to help us guide which events we'll do and when. So we've chosen to do fewer events for a bigger impact, and that's what I want to do. So we need your help to make those events successful and make them awesome for teenagers. So you'll be hearing more about our NerdCon coming up in the next few weeks as I get everything together for it. So when it comes to events, our win is not about participation, but about strategy. Even the most well-attended events can actually be a hindrance to our growth if those events are not leading students somewhere strategic. That's an important thing. If all we do is host an event and expect kids to come, but we don't, we don't lead those students somewhere else, like, get them connected to a small group leader, remind them about Wednesday nights, get them connected to our Sunday school classes and our small groups. If we're not doing that, then it could be a complete waste of time, because those students might have a great time that one night, then we'll never see them again. We want to make sure we close that back door and be strategic about those events. So another section of our ministry is parents. Something I want to focus on is earning parents' trust and not just expecting it. And I know a lot of our leaders are actually parents, so hopefully this encourages you guys. I want you, basically, sometimes we forget parents exist, and we get frustrated with parents. Sometimes we might disagree with the kid's parent or wish they were doing more to discipline them, or we might be annoyed that parents won't return messages or turn registration forms in on time. We get frustrated with parents. But instead of doing that, what if we stopped expecting parents to trust us and to do everything for us and to know everything that's going on? What if we stopped expecting that from them? And what if we tried harder to earn their trust instead? Not every parent will naturally trust us, or be interested even in a relationship with you, or even want you to invest in their kid's life, but that's okay. Instead of being frustrated by that, the question we all need to ask is, how can I earn that parent's trust? That's the question we're asking as a ministry, and it's the question we hope you're asking as an individual as well. One of the goals I'm giving all of our leaders this year, specifically our small group leaders, is to connect with 10 parents. And that goes for everyone, not just our small group leaders, but I want you guys to be connecting with and earning the trust of these students' parents. I'm going to be working to do the same thing. And the last section of our ministry is volunteers. You guys are fantastic, and we couldn't do this without you. And so, that's why I'm letting you in on this strategy, because we need you. That's why I'm talking about our vision. That's why I'm breaking down our youth ministry for you, because we need you for all of this to happen. You're not just volunteers. I know Eric used to call you guys what did he say, youth ministers? Yeah, he called everyone a youth minister, and that just kind of gets confusing sometimes. But you're also not just a volunteer, right? You're not just a volunteer. You guys are ministering to youth. You're doing my job. You're just not getting paid for it. And you guys are honestly more important than I am. I'm just here to organize things and to make sure you guys have what you need to minister to kids, and alongside me. That's what I'm here to do. But what I want to reiterate to you guys is that we're not asking you to do something easy. We're asking you to do something that matters. In this ministry, I don't want to do the easy thing. I want to do the things that matter. God's mission has always been big and difficult and sometimes a little scary, but we're in it together. This upcoming year of youth ministry won't always be easy, but it's gonna matter. And we're super excited to do this. I'm super stoked to do this with you guys. Y'all are fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what God does through you guys and through our ministry. God's already doing stuff. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but more kids are coming. They're inviting their friends. They're having a good time. They're engaging in discussion, and I'm seeing some awesome things happen. I mean, we just had a kid get baptized this past week. Great things are happening, and it's because of you guys. Thanks to your help. So I appreciate all of you. I thank you for being here, and I'm excited about this year. Hope to see you guys this Wednesday. This Wednesday is our second week in Squad Up. So I hope to see you guys there. And if any of you guys have any questions about your specific role in the ministry, let me know. I'd love to help you out. There's a lot of different sections of our ministry, and we have different teams. We have our small group leaders, our greeters, a cafe team that we still need to get started up. We have our band, and even in those things, we have smaller groups like a game team and Sunday school leaders and Wednesday night small group leaders. So, if you have any questions about your role and how you can best, fill that role, then let me know. Anyway, thank you guys for everything that you do. I'm looking forward to this great year with you. See you later.